drift you.
What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Before we get started, I just want to say apologies for the lack of content that I've been putting out. I've only been doing kind of a video a week lately and I feel like I should be producing more. Obviously with the transition over to the new factory and stuff, I've had a bunch of things to do. But the goal and the aim is to do at least 2 videos a week moving forward for you guys, because I know that you love the content and I love making it. I've got the space now, there's no excuse not to be producing lots of content, so look forward to that moving forward. But today we are headed right now to the factory to smash out a bunch of jobs on the E36, getting it ready for the up and coming drift event at Pheasant Wood Circuit in New South Wales. Super exciting. That track is pretty much a brand new track. Apparently it's a lot of fun. I've never drifted there. I did play a little bit of Assetto Corsa last night, practicing the track, which is just mind-blowing that you can actually drive a track before you even get to it physically. So I got a bit of practice on it and it seems like a really good time. So very excited for that trip. But yeah, let's get to the factory. I freaking love this place, man. Still seems super unreal that this place is mine, but it is. Got the Datsun. In the live stream video I wrapped this part of the car, but I mucked it up, so I had to go ahead and pull it off, which was a bummer, but it's all good. I've got a little bit more wrap on the way for this car so that I can finish off basically the rest of it, so it looks all super nice and I can actually get around to driving it. It's also got a hole in the radiator. I don't know when that happened, but it's just a little pinhole so it drips water, so I ordered a new alloy radiator for this. Chuck that in, finish the wrap, and then I can actually drive this thing on the road. Also fitted the 25mm spacers up front just to fill that garden perfectly, and now the whole thing looks absolutely insane. I think you guys can agree, although it's super dusty at the moment, so we will finish this thing off probably next week. This thing is definitely going to turn some heads. But today we are focused on this purple freaking thing. I absolutely love this car, but it definitely needs some love. I have a list of things that we are going to do to this car, including, but not limited to, fix the water temp gauge, install our ZF gearbox, fix the wipers, install our new shifter, do a full bolt check, install our new CAS Engineering LCAs which haven't arrived yet, change all fluids, general tidy up, change driver's seat rail because the Vert came with an adjustable driver's seat rail, which is amazing because mine is solid, so we are going to swap that over. Driver's door handle because it's currently not working, fix driver's door card, it doesn't exist at the moment, and fix the air fuel ratio gauge wiring. So quite a list of things to do. First things first though, we are going to get it up on the hoist because we are going to put the ZF gearbox in, tackle the biggest challenge first. This thing has been sitting on the shelf for ages. It's a ZF gearbox out of an M3 BMW. Also comes in the 328i manual E36s as well. Super strong gearbox as opposed to the getrag that we have in the car at the moment. The getrag in the car at the moment come out of a E36 318i with 100,000 Ks on it. And surprisingly, it's held up so well, this one. Apparently the E46 getrags are stronger than the E36 getrags. I would say that is true because I punished and broke quite a few of the getrags out of the E36s, but as soon as we put this one in from the E46, it held up to the punishment. No worries, so this thing's gonna come out. I'll probably sell this gearbox or maybe put it on the shelf in case we ever need a spare. But the ZFs apparently hold about 800 horsepower, which is great. We're making about 400 at the moment, so we will be more than fine with that. Unfortunately, I haven't sourced a new clutch for the car yet, so we'll continue to run the clutch that we have in the car for the next event. The clutch still works fine. We just have to make sure that we don't put the power up over 290 kilowatts, which is about 400 horsepower. So I'll probably dial it back a little bit, about 280 kilowatt. And the clutch will last all weekend, no worries. So first things first, let's get this up on the hoist and start taking it apart. Alrighty, we're up in the air. As you can see, she is a tad dirty under here, mostly because I've never had the chance to actually clean it up. Get it up in the air and actually clean it up and stuff. So now that we have a hoist, obviously it's great for stuff like bolt checking. So we're gonna go through the whole car and make sure she's mint. Maintenance, man, it's super important because we put these cars through massive amounts of stress. So first things up, take this exhaust off. Alrighty, so 20 minutes later and the gearbox is ready to come out. Simplest setup ever. Really helps with the V-bands on the exhaust and stuff that Damon did. So pull the box, Brandon's here to help me. Sup, boy? And see how everything looks behind there. I'll probably just pull the clutch off quickly as well, have a look at it. Maybe give it a quick squiz with some sandpaper to rough it up because we don't have a new clutch to chuck in just yet. And then we'll put it all back together. Alright, let's get this out. Alrighty, so we have the gearbox out and the clutch out, which is rad. And I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison with the getrag, which is covered in fire extinguisher stuff, versus the ZF. As you guys can see, ZF has a lot more girth, and apparently girth is important. Look at that, it's crazy. So this one holds like 800 horsepower. And this one, I don't really know what the limit is, but I'm gonna say like 350, 400, which is what we're running. But stoked. So we'll just clean this one up quickly, just on the inside, but it actually looks pretty tidy as it is. Put the guibo in. I've got the bigger front half of the shaft as well, so we'll chuck that on. And then we'll put it all back together. Brad, all right, let's get it done. Alrighty, so we are ready to go in with the ZF gearbox. Now if you are doing a ZF swap from the getrag, you will need a different guibo because they're bigger. Your getrag guibo will not work, so you'll need a different guibo, and then depending on what shifter you have and whatnot, you might need a different length shift rod as well, or you can just cut and weld them, which is what I usually do, but I had this lying around so it works. I'm also using the big boy 6-cylinder front half of the drive shaft, which is rad. A little bit bigger than the other one that we have, which is over here. As you can see, it's got this weird big ring on it, but it also has, it's quite skinny here, and then it goes large and then skinny again. So this one's just thick the whole way through, which is rad. A lot stronger, so we're just adding strength all around. Awesome. I put the clutch back in, I gave it a quick scruff with some sandpaper, which is cool. So now we're going to lift the gearbox into place. Cross your fingers for us. You. Alrighty, so as per usual, usually nothing really goes smoothly. That's the case with this. We went to put the gearbox in, and this bad boy here was slightly longer than, I don't know why this happens, then in the getrag box, and so I turned the engine over and this basically welded itself to the clutch. I've had this happen to me before, but I didn't think this one was going to be the same. Apparently it is. So you can see here it like welds itself to the clutch, and then you have a really hard time getting the gearbox off. You basically have to pry it off, which is just a freaking nightmare. We managed to get the gearbox off, but in doing so we put a hole in the sump. The sump has to come out, which is kind of okay because I need to weld the oil pump nut on the oil pump anyway, so this is probably just the heavens telling me that you got to pull your frickin' sump off and do that properly. So not a big deal. Pull the sump, we will get it welded up. I'll swap those little bits over from the getrag to the ZF, and we can put it all back together. Of course it won't be today because I have to get the sump welded, so it'll be all back together hopefully tomorrow. So now we're going to drop the subframe, pull the sump. Cars and life, eh? Also, we've found a couple of loose bolts up here as well, so it's probably not a bad thing. that we've taken this all apart, because it's going to save me in the long run, I think. So shit happens, but also for a reason, I guess. No biggie. You. What ended up starting as a simple gearbox swap from a getrag gearbox to a ZF gearbox has now ended in half of the engine being torn apart. No gearbox in yet. Sump's off, it's got a hole in it, needs to be welded up. But in the long run, I think it's gonna come off better off, because now we can obviously chuck a tack on our, sorry the lighting is so terrible, on our oil pump bolt, which is super important because obviously we had that fall off at the track. And what I'll show you right now is pretty crazy. So I could never find the last bolt that came off at the track, so I just kind of let it be. And when we pulled the sump off, I had the oil pickup, right? And it was making a clinking noise, and so I shook it, and this fell out of it. Right out of this hole, right here. And this has been inside the oil pickup the whole time that I've been drifting this engine. Luckily, it hasn't done any damage at all. I guess it's not really that big of a deal because it's so big that it can't get sucked up through the pickup tube or through the mesh, but at the same time, pretty scary. So, although today has been a little bit stressful and we had the dramas, it's going to be it's going to create a better situation in the end, because the car is going to run better forever at our track days, because we're never going to have the chance of that oil pump bolt coming off and having zero oil pressure again. So not super phased. I'll get the hole fixed up tomorrow, we'll chuck it all back together and she'll be rad, and we'll continue on with the rest of the fixes that we need to do. But for now, we're going to leave it. It's not really that late, but I'm tired. It's been a stressful day. Shout out Brendan for helping out. Without him, I will just be completely stuffed. So, but it is what it is. I'll see you guys in the morning. We're going to power through and we're going to get this shit done. See you guys in the morning. Peace. Good morning, team. Oof, it is a freaking beautiful morning here in Melbourne, and a very exciting morning. We're about to head back to the factory, obviously, to continue fixing the mess that we made yesterday on the E36. But first, we are headed somewhere else right now, somewhere very special. I was searching on Marketplace last night, and I found a car that I've been looking for our E36 Vert Ute 13B project. Hey Tara. Hey. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
And right now, me and Tara are headed to pick up, hopefully, if we like it, an RX8, which is mad. So, taking the 86. It's gonna be a good time. So excited. Let's get it. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I didn't film while I was chatting to the seller of the car, because that's a little bit awkward, but we have just picked up a 2003 RX8. Woo-wee. And to be honest, I'm personally quite astonished at how cheap this car was and how cheap you can get these cars, because they're they're a very cool car. I just drove this here to the car wash, because first thing I always do when I buy a car is wash it, especially this one. A bit of information on it. This one has had a rebuild, which is amazing. The owner hasn't driven it for a couple of years, so it was sitting for a while. As you can see, it's kind of got lots of manky dust and stuff built up. And this one is also an automatic model. Now, I also wanted that because auto means that the car hasn't been thrashed like a manual one potentially could have been. The manual swaps are really easy to do. The engine is going to be the donor car for our E36 Ute Vert build. So that's the main reason I bought this car. We will end up getting rid of the shell once we pull the engine. So the main thing I wanted was the engine to be absolutely perfect, and it certainly is. So if anyone wants an RX8 rolling shell, perfect, good to go car for quite cheap, hit me up. This thing is super straight all round, no dents whatsoever, and I picked this car up for stupid cheap. It looks like it's been lowered a little bit, although I can't confirm, but really it's just a super nice car. I could literally just chuck some registration on this car and drive it around as a daily, and I'd be quite happy with it. The whole thing is just, it's pretty nice. We'll definitely clean up really nicely But yeah, I'm super pumped. We now have our 13B for our vert build, so it's going to progress super quickly. But for now, let's give this thing a quick clean, and then we're going to head to the factory in it and fix all of the issues that we had yesterday with the E36. Booyah! Oh, lens is a bit dirty.
Booyah.
How good? Should come up nice. Everything just looks freaking brand new on this thing now. Runs so well. Woo. I'm just mind blown that you can get these things so freaking cheap. I mean, obviously this was quite a bargain, but what do you think about it, Tara?
I don't really want you to take it apart.
I know, I actually feel bad for pulling it apart, but it's going to stay together for a little bit. Drive it around and then we'll pull the engine out. Love it. Alright, time to head to the factory, get some work done. Thanks, Tara. Tara's 8.6 is nice and clean as well. Where's that at? Oh, this thing is just magical though. Love it. Love it.
It is pretty magical, what can I say?
Alright, see you later, Tara. Bye. Bye. Alrighty, so first thing we need to do is take the sump down to springy performance. I've already put it in the back of the RX8. We're going to take it down and Elijah is going to weld the hole that we made in it yesterday up. And then we can start putting this whole setup back together, which is rad. Really actually stoked that we ended up putting a hole in the sump and having to take it off because there was just so many things wrong, and now the whole engine is going to be nice and sound again. So, you know, they say that things happen for a reason, and in this case it is 100% true. So let's head down to springy. Rotary. Wow, that's obnoxious. Booyah! All done. Shout out Elijah.
No worries, man.
Springy performance. If you guys need any fab work done, come see Elijah. Obviously, this is super hard to weld. Oil soaked cast aluminium. He did an awesome job. Alrighty, so we're back at the workshop. I put gasket sealant on our sump. Let it sit there for a bit. I've cleaned it all up nicely as well. And in the back of the RX8, I found a random coin collection. Super weird. But turns out some of these coins are worth some money. Wouldn't it be hilarious if we found a coin collection that paid for the RX8 plus some? So I gotta take them in to get valued, which is super hilarious. But now we're getting ready to put the sump back on, everything back together. Just gotta chuck a quick weld on this oil pump nut before we chuck it back together. That'll never come off again, which is freaking awesome. And then we can chuck sump on, clutch on, gearbox in, and we'll be back where we were yesterday. Boom! Alright, the nut's been welded. Probably can't see too well there. So now we're gonna put the sump back on, put everything back together. I'm gonna sit you guys down here, we're gonna get it done. Heyo! Sump's on, subframe's back up, engine's all bolted in properly. Taking our time, making it right. Sandwich plate's up there now, which is mad. I didn't actually have that in before, so that's good. It'll just sit like this. So now we're gonna go ahead, chuck the clutch on, make that all nice and tight. And then we should be able to put all the gearbox and stuff in. Still need to bolt the power steering pump and stuff back up, but made mad progress. About an hour's time, this thing should all be back together and we should be smiling and happy again after the fiasco of a weekend that we've had. But it's actually been really good because now the car's buttoned up and gonna be super reliable. Yeah! Mad. Get out of my way. my god! Whoa! Oh, look at that! Just rattled itself to pieces. Good stuff. Okie dokie, so we're finally ready for the gearbox to go back in. It's a freaking mess around here at the moment. But here's the bit that welded to the clutch, right? It was too long. And that's the size difference between the one out of the getrag and the ZF one. So I'm gonna mark this one and just cut it off at the right length, bolt it back into the ZF, and then we're gonna bolt the ZF into the car finally. Moment of truth, time to throw the gearbox in. Yeah, finally. Been a long time coming. Yep. Seems to be. Go up harder. Whew! Alrighty team, it has been an intense, stressful, but still enjoyable weekend, but we've finished everything underneath the car. It's all bolted back up. Skip forward a little bit, but we had to get stuff done. So now we'll let it down, put some oil in it, make sure that the thing still runs as it should, and then we will come back underneath the car this week in part 2 of the prep and replace the fuel filter and just clean everything up, put some P-clamps under here, make sure everything is all good, replace the fluids and everything. Hopefully it is as it should be. Right, ready?
Yep.
Love that. That is a wrap on that, guys. Huge weekend, lots of effort put in. Gotta say a massive shout out to Brandon for helping out. He's outside at the moment, but thank you, bro.
Anytime, mate.
What a legend. He'll be in a lot more of the videos coming in and helping out. But yeah, it's been a crazy weekend. We broke the car, we found some things that could have been absolutely catastrophic, and then we fixed the car. So I guess the theme of the weekend is you've got to take a couple of steps backwards before you can take all those steps forwards. And she's back up and running, which is rad. We still have a whole list of things to do. Of course, we acquired a beautiful RX8. Really stoked about this. It's funny because these two things right here are going to become one. Insert Spice Girls song here.
When two become one.
Yeah, so very excited about that. Again, if anyone wants an RX8 shell to build a drift car with, hit me up, because this thing is going to be for sale. I'm literally going to pull the engine out, and then the rest of it is staying exactly as is. Thing's perfectly straight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at It's Mike Lake. We have so many more videos to come, obviously, with all these crazy cars. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, do it, join the fam, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.